YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Warhammer 2. And yes, we got some more 2v2 action. This was from our community fight night, I guess we could call it, something like that, where we got together on the Discord, set up some 2v2s. This one had Dov Plays and some other players in it. Dov Plays has a channel. You should definitely go check out his. He makes great content. Anyway, let's check out the factions. We're going to have Wintertooth and Chaos going up against the Blessed Dread and Musion. Now remember, this was a random faction picker for this battle, and the players had to use whatever faction they were given. Now Blessed Dread has some interesting stuff going on over here. Really like to see this Hex Wraith supporting some Shades with Great Swords, which makes this a very interesting flank for Musion and the Blessed Dread. Over here for Musion, they have a bunch of zombies up front to absorb, some skeleton spears, a banshee, and cairn wraiths. So a lot of terror over here for the vampires between the banshee and the cairn wraiths and the hex wraiths. Now the Blessed Dread just has a front line of dread spears. They are led by a supreme sorceress, Lore of Fire, who has a couple of Sisters of Slaughter to her employ, as well as some witch elves and the Chill of Sontar. Very cool unit. It's a Hydra that actually has Frostbite. It's a Regiment of Renown unit, very interesting. More Hex Wraiths over here from Musion, so again, very interesting terror-based build. More zombies, more cheap skeleton fodder, and they are led by a Vampire Lord on a dragon. So that's where we're going to see the leader of Musion's forces, not the Red Duke. But that was one of the options. They didn't have to bring those units either. So for Chaos, we've got some Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes up front. Nice way to do a little skirmishing. Then we've got some Warhounds with poison. These are very helpful units for slowing down enemy flyers or other key units that are trying to get away, or chasing down stragglers that are routing. There's a line of Chaos Warriors and Chosen here. Mirror Guard, Chosen, Chaos Warriors. So this is some very very heavy infantry. Yeah, so it's very heavy infantry here for Chaos, and should be pretty good considering the factions they're going up against. You can bring Harganeth Executioners as the Blessed Dread, but if they don't, then this type of Chaos infantry will find itself to be very useful. There's a front line of Marauders, and they are supporting a Mammoth with a War Shrine here, so how about this cool looking unit? Looks like you got like a Shaman up there, like reading off spells on top of this Mammoth. That is a freaking awesome looking unit. And then we're going to have Wulfrik on top of his Mammoth over here, so a double Mammoth, two Fmir Warriors with great weapons, one of which is the Mist Stalkers. They deal magical damage. They can actually Vanguard deploy if need be. And then there's some Chaos Chariots and some more Warhounds with poison. Let's check out how this battle plays out. It's obviously going to be a furious one. There are also 3 Marauder Horsemen with javelins up front. Marauder Horsemen are a very solid unit. They don't get a bunch of melee work done in and of themselves, but they can be very useful in lots of situations, and I think if you're ever going to be a really good Norska or Chaos player, you have to embrace the usage of them to a certain extent and get to know how to use them well. They can be very effective at warding off stuff like this Vampire Lord or the Supreme Sorceress or other things like that. And at the low price that they come, that is a good thing to have. Now here the Blessed Dread is going to engage with the double Mammoth Norska, and that is going to be a very tough fight for them unless they get some support very quickly. Over here on this flank, Musion's pushing in, and Chaos is mostly falling back at the moment. They don't want to take that engagement, maybe looking to get set up in a better position. These warriors are going to end up taking on some Cairn Wraiths, and here comes the Chill of Sontar. The Chill of Sontar needs to use its breath attacks. The breath attacks on the Hydra, if used properly, can be absolutely devastating. But by the time it even gets to use those breath attacks, it may be too late. There's a Burning Head already going this way down the battle line, which did a lot of damage to Musion, but also some to Norska. And then on the other flank, there's another Burning Head that's going to pop up, this one going through the Chaos troops. And it causes quite a bit of damage, and it's going to head out here and hit these horsemen who also just took a breath attack from the Vampire Lord, so a lot of action going on very quickly. The Shades with Great Swords are still kind of moving through the flank. They've run into some Marauder Horsemen over here. Those Marauder Horsemen don't have a prayer of taking those down in melee, but they can at least maybe temporarily keep them bogged down. Over here, the Hex Wraiths and other units have engaged Norska, but Hex Wraiths are engaging near the Fmir Warriors, namely the Mist Stalkers, and these guys deal magical damage and will be a nightmare for Hex Wraiths. If you see the Mist Stalkers, you don't want to be anywhere near those units with the Hex Wraith. I think you all saw me in a battle not too long ago where I had to try and avoid that very thing. And in fact, here comes another Hex Wraith, maybe unaware that these Mist Stalkers have that magical damage. When you're going to use ethereal units, you have to be keenly aware of where the magic damage is at and avoid it. Here comes another Burning Head here, and it's going to go through a whole lot of troops, so very nice cast by the Balefiend of Norska, and it's going to do a tremendous amount of damage through there. The Mammoth with the War Shrine cleaning up more infantry, which is what he does best. And the Chaos Lord on the Dragon, ready to support this fight over here. It puts a very nice breath attack on the Vampire Lord, and it's then followed up by Wulfrik and his Mist Stalkers, who are chasing out the Vampire Lord in a very effective fashion. Really over here, the only strong unit left for the Blessed Dread is the Chill of Sontar. Some of their infantry does remain, as well as Musion's infantry, but it's unmoving right now and needs to be re-engaged elsewhere to help. The Chill of Sontar now taking some shots from the Marauder Horsemen. This unit does heal, so it will take a lot of those shots. You're going to see some chariots moving in for Chaos. Now, check this out. Over on the flank, the Chaos Lord with the Dragon decides to dive bomb in to these Shades with Greatswords. And the Greatswords, yeah, they can withstand a little bit of this. They're not going to like do particularly great fighting that dragon per se, but they do a lot of armor-piercing damage, and when the dragon doesn't instantly kill them, you're going to have these other ones firing, but Norska has a little present for these Shades with Great Swords, which is another Burning Head. Very well placed there, does a lot of damage to one of the Shades, but the Chaos Lord takes tremendous damage at the hands of these Shades with Greatswords. Very expensive units, but very capable units if you can keep them safe from their hard counters, which would be like heavy cavalry. So if you can keep them safe from that, they will do okay. And like I said, they're pretty good in an infantry fight. You don't want to just throw them into an infantry fight. You'd like to get them to expend most, if not all, of their missiles, and then throw them into an infantry fight. That is what's going to be making them most effective. That's difficult to do because they cost so much. So bringing multiple units of them makes it even more difficult that they get used properly. But, you know, if they do get used properly, they're absolutely devastating. You can see how quickly their missiles start to pull apart that Chaos Sorcerer. But now there's just too many units descending on the Shades, and they won't be able to keep themselves safe forever. And the full Mammoth Wrath is heading their way as the Chill of Sontar gives way to the overwhelming forces of Chaos, not able to hold its ground. The army losses mount, and the chain rout is fully underway, so it becomes a victory for the forces of Chaos. Coming out strong here. The Mammoths did a crushing amount of damage, pun intended, if need be, and there was no Soul Crusher, so I guess the pun is not well played here. But look at the Famir Balefiend here. The Lore of Fire is very effective in the right situations, and it's another one that I don't think gets underestimated by the competitive players, but it does get sometimes underestimated by mainstream players. People like myself or other people maybe playing the game more casually. The Lore of Fire is very good in specific situations, and once you know those situations, you can use it well. Low armor, Lore of Fire kicks butt. Against regen units, Lore of Fire kicks butt. So there's certain situations where you can bring it, and it's going to be very useful. Even against higher armor, sometimes the Burning Head can be fairly effective. It's best against the lower stuff, but like I said, in the right situation, it can do well. So Dav plays very nice work with his Famir Balefiend. Let's check out Halo, our very own Halo here with Chaos. Halo is the one who hosted the tournament on my channel, also does content, and likes to play competitively. So Halo coming in with some good kills on his Chaos Lord. Look at this Chosen. There was just nothing on the battlefield other than like the Chill of Sontar that was really a good unit at standing up to these Chosen. They picked up 206 kills with no chevron, meaning that they just absolutely slaughtered some low-tier units. But I mean, still a lot of kills to see there. Look at this Chaos Warrior, 121 kills with almost no damage. Probably ran into zombies, these units. It's hard to say. But this just gives you an idea of how untouchable these Chaos units are if you don't bring the right units to counter them. Now, I mean, there's ups and downs. I mean, if you just bring a whole ton of armored Chaos Infantry in a 1v1, it can be a lot trickier to get it to work. But here in this 2v2, you know, it's a different story. And that's one of the reasons why 2v2s are fun, because it can change all the mechanics because of the way that two different factions combine. And then over here with Grimsoka and Broken Sky, Grimsoka, the Supreme Sorceress, Lure Fire, not a bad pick, in my opinion. Not a bad pick. You can do a lot of damage with the Lure Fire, especially up against Norska, potentially. But at the same time, you've got to deal with 2 Mammoths, potentially, anytime you're coming up against Norska, or other very challenging things. And I would have liked to have seen the Shades with great swords maybe positioned behind the main infantry line and spread out, so that they could have dealt damage to the elephants on the way in. And then some thought to how do you slow down and deal with those Norskan elephants with what's available to the Dark Elves. So are there any slowing spells? I don't think there's any net spells, but how do you use that with the Dark Elves in order to allow your Shades with great swords to get the work done, and then using your Chill of Sontar to fight back against the enemy infantry. Broken Sky here, a longtime member of the Discord also. His Hex Race, I love all this ethereal stuff in the army, and then all the cheap things, I think, to allow the ethereal stuff to potentially do its work. But when you're going to bring all this ethereal stuff, you do have to be careful. Norska does have access to magical damage units, and it's the Famir Warriors, the Miststalkers. So you got to watch out for those things, and you also have to be careful of the Sorcerers, who pretty much everything they do in terms of spells causes magical damage because it's magic. Some of them don't actually deal magical melee damage, but they can deal with this kind of stuff. So when you are going to bring a spooky skeleton like ghost army here with the vampires, you got to be keenly aware of that and make sure that you have a plan for working around it. But otherwise, kind of cool to see a different play by Broken Sky here. It didn't work out in this case, but it's fun nonetheless, and that's why you play these 2v2s. 2v2s are so much fun, folks. I can't tell you how much fun it is. It's more fun in person even when you're playing these, and it's because you need to go join that Discord. Hop on. When you go want to play a 2v2, hop into the voice chat with the person that you're teaming up with and coordinate. It makes it that much more fun even. The matches are social. They're there for a good time. They don't have to be uber competitive. Yes, someone wins in the end, but who cares? I play a bunch of these matches, you don't win, and you still have a ton of fun. Like I played one on stream last night that I lost, but man, it was fun. Still a good time, and you need to hop on and play. Don't be worried about being the world's best multiplayer. You learn more over time, and no one cares in this community. We just like to have fun. Hop in. So I hope to see you all in the Discord. Folks, we are almost over that 250,000 subscriber hump, and part of the reason I am bringing you this content today is because last night on stream, there was a huge outpouring of support for me in terms of people really donating a lot of money, and so I told them that I would make a huge spree of content for their weekend to help them feel like, all this donation is even more worth it to them, because obviously I feel guilty for people throwing support at me like that, and the least I can do is make a ton of content for you all because of their support. And so here it is, and you will continue to enjoy it throughout the weekend. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you soon.